probably more. So this is what's happening. The chemtrails, persistent contrails, are being taken, some of them, by the wind, depending on the regime, and it's creating artificial cloud cover. And the last clip I'm going to show you is of a time-lapse video. Now this is I think it's in Barcelona. It's sped up, obviously, so you can see the effect. And there's a mixture in here of chemtrails and normal contrails. So you'll see the lines. There's a star there. Did you see that? So where they cross, that will be a data value in a model somewhere. A good researcher, Scott Stevens, who's a meteorologist who's into this phenomena. He talks about the data values going into the models. They're called tracers, actually. See, that was a normal. Did you see that? That was a normal contrail. That's a normal contrail just gone by then. There's a lovely one here, actually. I think it's this one here. You can see it curling round. So, geoengineers are telling us that man-made cloud is necessary to deflect sunlight away from the Earth, to cool us down, essentially. And I'll pull apart that argument slowly as we go through this. Right. Okay. Commercial airline. When I showed this to my wife, she said, "Oh, they've forgotten a passenger." No, they're obviously military. Flight tracker. You can track commercial airline on Flight Tracker 24, and a lot of the movements in the sky you can't see them on this tracker software, so they have to be military. KC-135s, KC-130, KC-10s, Boeing 747s. These are the aircraft types that are commonly being reported. However, commercial airlines also leave chemtrails, and I'll get into that in a bit more in a moment. This is, I must say, this is circumstantial evidence. This is unconfirmed. However, these do demonstrate the ability to outfit an aircraft with carrying capacity for liquids. This one's circulating on the internet, and you see people saying, no, this is in a factory. It's in a factory. But when, again, you look in detail at some of the letters and the wording and the backgrounds, you follow this patent through. This is US patent 7413145B2, and it leads to this. So, and this is an aerial delivery system. Okay, somebody asked me earlier about HARP. HARP is an acronym. It stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program or Project. This is a ground-based technology. It became live in 1999. I think the first array became live. And what they are, each aerial is 72 feet high. There's about 150 to 180 in an array. And these things are about 2 or 3 times the area of a football field. And they beam into the ionosphere between 1 to 3.5 billion watts of radio energy. So what this does, it changes the characteristics of the ionosphere. So if you can imagine like a heat column going up there. And as many of you might know, the jet streams, there are 3 major jet streams that go around the planet. And when the jet stream comes into contact or nears this rush of heat, it has to go either way. It doesn't like going through it, so it has to go round. And that's how you can start to push the jet streams north or south. And when the radio energy hits clouds, these are the type of cloud conditions that it makes. So it's like a rippling, like a mackerelling, or like a corrugated effect. Here's one with a chemtrail running through it. This one's kind of interesting. Very pillowy-like clouds with a definite edge. If I was doing a modelling simulation of this cloud using computational fluid dynamics, you would not have this phenomena occurring unless that there was an external stimuli. This arching effect, it doesn't happen in a liquid unless there's something making it. Punch hole cloud. So again, you see the rippling effect with this big hole in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to move on to some impacts, talk about the impacts of geoengineering. So everyone's saying, what's in these aerosols? What's being sprayed? The Royal Society say we're spraying, or thinking about spraying, sulfur dioxide. However, they've changed it slightly. I'm up here now. Geoengineering, sulfur dioxide. David Keith's on record. David Keith is a geoengineer pushing this thing forward. And he's saying, we're thinking about using aluminium oxide now because of the volumetric radiative forcing properties. Lighter, probably cheaper, and more effective. Barium, strontium, and salt. Proposals have been put forward to actually put seawater into the clouds to make them more reflective. Moving on to weather modification. Silver iodide. They knew about this stuff back in the 40s. Again, barium, nitrogen, nanosilver, and p-dichlorobenzene. And on the military side of things, you have aluminium-coated fiberglass, and these are put out for radar, what's the word, buzzing, noise, and barium salts. The two at the bottom, sulfur hexafluoride and trimethyl aluminium, is what is being added to normal jet fuel, and they have neurological effects. They cause short-term memory and all sorts. Again, all on record. So the other chemicals and particles, thorium, cadmium. Cadmium was the one, cadmium sulfide within the clip, carcinogenic. Chromium, potassium, titanium, magnesium. Arsenic's been found, manganese, lead. In total, 49 different chemicals have been reported. Okay, there are three other class of particulates that are being found. Polymer nanofibers, desiccated erythrocytes, and erythrocytes are freeze-dried red blood cells, mold spores, and fungus. So for the aim of this talk, I'm not going to go into those areas. I may do another talk in the future where I unpack that a bit more. So yeah, what goes up must come down. So as you can imagine, it's landing in our oceans, it's landing in our rivers, watercourses, in our soils, our crops, trees, bees. People have been wondering where they've been going. Livestock, our pets, and if it's landing all of this, landing on all of that, what else is it landing on? And this is for me, all of it's horrific, but it's landing on us as well. So the environmental impacts, we're seeing acidification of our oceans. The soil pHs are becoming slightly more alkali. Our crop is starting to suffer in different ways with adiabatic stress. The yields are reported to be lower in many instances. There's a phenomenon, especially in the States, where trees are dying. Aluminium is bad for the ozone, air quality, marine life, and of course our pollinators. And out of all of those, for me, and this is where it kind of really strikes a chord for me, you can choose what you drink. You can drink tap water, fluoridated. You can drink spring water. You can drink beer. You can drink whatever you want. You can eat. You can have a choice what you eat. Organic, non-organic, prepared foods. You can't choose what air you breathe, can you? And to think somebody has that power to take whatever they want and put in the atmosphere, and you have no autonomy whatsoever over this. And for me, when I really understood that, it was like, it's bam, the gravity and the magnitude of the situation hits you. You feel helpless, actually. Some people don't care about the environmental stuff because it doesn't affect them personally. When this stuff happens, they start to take notice sometimes. So on the milder end of the impacts, people are suffering from headaches, from colds. People are suffering from colds, for 3 weeks now. I had a 3-week cold in January. Sinus problems, increased susceptibility to viruses, asthma, childhood asthma, muscle weakness, eye and skin irritation, autoimmune. Now, autoimmune, I could, again, unpack and come up with a huge list of things. Aluminium has been linked to neurological and cognitive dysfunction, short-term memory loss, SAD, seasonal affective depression, chronic bronchitis, liver damage, and again, 2 biggies coming up, Alzheimer's. Again, aluminium related, some people say dementia. Barium is not good for the heart, cardiac system, and the big C. So I'm going to focus on just 3 elements. First one I'm going to focus on is the aluminium oxide, Al2O3. Now we can intake aluminium through food, through breathing, and actually just through skin contact. The average hair is between 70 and 100 microns, so a tenth of the width of a human hair are the dimensions, the magnitudes that we're talking about here. So damage to the central nervous system, dementia, Alzheimer's we've covered, short-term memory loss, lethargy, people waking up and just melancholy, not wanting to do much, severe trembling, pulmonary fibrosis, and lung damage have all been associated with aluminium and aluminium oxide. Next on the list is barium. Barium is extremely soluble in water, so constant exposure hits our immune system for 6. It increases blood pressure. Weak and aching muscles have been associated with barium. I think I suffer from that sometimes. When you wake up, you're all achy and it feels like you've done a couple of marathons and you've just been sitting at your desk all day the day before. Stomach irritation, changes in nerve reflexes, difficulties in breathing, asthma again. Barium also depletes our potassium levels. And again, on the lesser end, let's say, the headaches, dry eyes, and the sore and raspy throats. The last chemical we look at is sulfur. Now, sulfur, we need sulfur actually, but derivatives of sulfur, like sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide, are not good for us. Again, so this interacts with our neurological pathways and our synaptic pathways, changes in behaviour, disturbances in blood circulation again, like barium, heart damage. It affects our eyesight, our reproductive system, again, our immune system, stomach, liver, kidneys, hearing, hormonal metabolism, and dermatological effects. A neurologist from the US, Dr. Blaylock, is on record saying, when talking about chemtrails, he was saying, I took these stories with a grain of salt, like many of us do initially. And then he goes on to say, my major concern is that there is evidence that they are spraying tons of nano-sized aluminium compounds. Then he goes on to say, of special concern is the effect of these nanoparticles on the brain and spinal cord, as a growing list of neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig disease, are strongly related to the exposure of environmental aluminium. Okay. Whether you believe the whole man-made climate change thing, or whether you believe the chemicals are bad or good, irrefutable is the fact that we are having reductions in radiation, in sunlight. No, you can't dispute that. So what is the effect of reduced sunlight? Just that factor alone. Increased molds, increased mildew, greater